Justin Fox with Time Magazine. I'm talking to Peter Schiff, president of Euro-Pacific Capital, and also the author of Crash Proof, a book that was published in February 2007, and it was subtitled How to Profit from the Coming Economic Collapse, which means that, Peter, you sort of saw this coming.
Well, absolutely.
Right? What were you saying in 06 and 07?
Well, I mean, I basically described the U.S. economy as literally being a house of cards, and I explained why the house of cards was going to collapse, that our economy, maybe it looked impressive from the outside, but it was a disaster waiting to happen beneath the surface. And I saw, the problems in the housing market. I saw that gigantic bubble. I knew what that was doing. I knew that that was on the verge of bursting, and I knew that that was going to send shockwaves throughout the financial system, because I knew how much money was going to be lost by those that were financing the housing bubble and all the agencies that were making it possible. I saw the problems, at Freddie and Fannie. I saw their bankruptcy coming and problems with the commercial banks and the investment banks. And I knew that once that credit, stopped flowing, that this whole phony economy would implode.
So when you'd go on CNBC or go to conferences and say that, what kind of reaction were you getting?
Well, I mean, most people, in the conventional media, when I spoke to them, they would disagree. They would laugh at me, or they would make fun of me. They would explain that this is all nonsense, that we have the greatest economy in the world, that the American consumer is the engine of the world, and that, that economic growth comes from spending money, and we're going to keep spending. I got a lot of people that would call me un-American because I was, saying negative things about the U.S. economy, as if, patriotism is defined by, just being a cheerleader for the economy. I saw serious structural problems with our economy, and I still see them.
Obviously, this fall, people must have started taking you a little bit more seriously for a while there, right?
For a little bit. I mean, it seemed like I was getting a little bit more media attention towards the end of 2008, as a lot of the forecasts that I had made started to come true. I think one of the people who had been following me on YouTube put together a video, and he called Peter Schiff was right.
When you see the stock market come down and the real estate bubble burst, all that phony wealth is going to evaporate. And all that's going to be left is all the debt that we accumulated to foreigners.
Peter, I'm going to take a bet with you on this one. I'll bet you a penny on this one that if you'll sign a letter saying that if you're wrong, you'll sign a letter that you were wrong to me.
And it kind of went viral because people got a big kick. Not only watching what I was saying, but I think more importantly, it was the way other people reacted.
Most of the profits that people have in real estate are going to vanish, just like the profits in the dot-coms in 1999-2000. It's a fantasy. People can't sell their house.
But back in the big media, in the mainstream media, you're getting less.
I'm barely on. And you would think it would be the opposite. I mean, basically, all of the people that were criticizing me in 2006 and 2007, who saw nothing but blue skies ahead, they're still on. I mean, they're on more often than I am. Yet I'm one of the few people that actually was on air laying this stuff out, exactly the way it was going to happen. Maybe they don't want the pessimism. Maybe in 2006 and 2007, when they thought everything was great, they wanted somebody to balance out all the optimism. I think now, maybe the media is fallen into this concept that, we can't be negative. I say no. Things are going to get very bad, and that's precisely why the government has to stay out of it. We need the free market to correct these problems. That's the only way to do it.
If I've got it right, you're a supporter of Ron Paul, right?
Absolutely.
Pretty big supporter of libertarian institutions. Your father is a famous tax protester that he thought it was unconstitutional to require people to pay income taxes. By sort of the standards of the media I'm part of, you're an extremist. Do you think there is some value to not being in the middle of the mainstream consensus and things?
The only people that saw this crisis coming were extremists. In fact, if you said there was a crisis coming, an economic collapse, you were automatically an extremist, because the mainstream opinion was that everything was fine. And of course, if you are going to be coming into a situation where you're predicting some kind of major disaster based on a misallocation of resources or a mispricing of assets, you're going to, by definition, be out of the mainstream. I don't think my views are going to be in the fringe forever. I think at some point, I think the mainstream is going to turn in my direction, and I think more and more people are going to accept a lot of the things that I've been saying as fact. And I don't think it's that I'm going to change. I think the mainstream is going to change.
Okay. Thank you very much, Peter.